right, welcome back. This is actually day 2 of week 3. Today would be April 7th, and this is our language for today, okay? Please keep in mind that you have those little phonics library books, and between yesterday and today, you can read Will Holly Sing. Of course, you could read all of them at any given time, but that would be the book that would go along with what we're doing this week. Will Holly Sing. Okay, in the meantime, you should be getting to practice page 199. So you can pause, make sure you have that. We're going to read that together. We're going to do the following page, 200, and it will have to do with the story we're about to read, okay? And then we're going to do a phonics review, page 201. We're going to review the long I sounds spelled with IGH and IE, okay? So back to this little story here, okay? It's called Working It Out. Let's go ahead and I will use my pencil to point. Lane and Frank were working on a school project. When they began the project, they had some problems. Lane wanted to build a castle. Maybe that should be something we would take note of. They were working on a school project. Lane wanted to build a castle. Why, we might need that information later. Frank wanted to build a fort, so why don't we note Frank wanted to build a fort. Lane had an idea. She wrote castle and fort on 2 strips of paper. She folded the strips and put them in a box. Frank picked the strip that said castle. Ironic, Frank picked the one that Lane wanted. So how did they vote? We might need to know that. They picked strips of paper, okay? Next the children drew sketches of the castle. So they drew the sketches. Frank's sketch was very different from Lane's. Frank sketched a new picture that used both of their ideas. Lane liked the new plan. So what's going on? Frank's sketch was very different from Lane's. So he made a new picture so that he can use both of their ideas. Then the children talked about what to use to make the castle. Frank suggested cardboard. Maybe we need to know that. He wanted to glue sand onto the cardboard to make the castle look like stone. That sounds pretty cool. But the sand would not stick. Problem. Lane said they should use sandpaper instead. I've done that before. Lane said they should use sandpaper because the sand would not stick. The sandpaper worked much better. The castle was finally done, but it tilted to one side. Problem, it tilted. Frank thought he knew how to fix it, so Frank had a thought. What was that? He got a piece of wood. Lane helped him prop up the castle with the wood. So they used a piece of wood to prop up the castle. So let's see if we're going to use what we've underlined on the next page, okay? So what was the problem? They had a school project just like we had in the school mural, but they each had their own idea, but this time instead of having the teacher be in charge and have them raise their hand and vote, they put their ideas into a box and picked castle. And how did they solve the problem of the sand not sticking? They used sandpaper instead and just glued that down. How did they solve the problem of the castle tilting? They propped it up with some wood to make it more sturdy. Okay, so page 200, tell what kinds of problems and solutions. So we are using what we just wrote, right? So that will come in handy. So the first problem was what we said, what we underlined. Lane wanted to build the castle, Frank wanted to build a fort. Okay. To save a little bit of time, would you like to, how about if we say Lane and Frank each wanted something different? How about if we simplify it? Lane and Frank each wanted something different. Okay, I'm writing fast, so you can always pause. This is the great thing about this type of teaching. Try to look at the positive. Now, how did they solve that? Well, they picked strips of paper. So we're going to shorten the lengthy answer to just say they wrote the choices on strips of paper and picked one. Okay, that would be a capital. They wrote choices. We'll even condense it on paper. You don't have to say strips. And picked one. We know they picked it out of a box, but we don't need to say all of that either. Okay, so pause if you need to. And so the next problem was, what happened? Lane and Frank's pictures looked too different from one another. So how about if instead of saying their names, we'll use the pronoun and we'll use their, this is the ownership for more than one, their pictures look different. So they have to come to a compromise. Their pictures looked different. So what did they do? They just put the two, how about if we say they combined the two pictures into one. Okay, I'm sure you're going to need to pause. But when you come back, I will be here. I'm not going anywhere. And the next problem was what? The sand. Yep, the sand would not stick. The sand wouldn't, let's use the contraction for would not, stick. We're going to make the next answer very short. So what did they decide to do? Sandpaper. They decided to use sandpaper. And then the other problem was the castle, we'll use the pronoun it, tilted. What did they decide to use? They got some wood to prop it. And that means to make it lean against it so it won't fall over. Okay, they got some wood to prop it. All right, pause, finish that. I'm going on to the next page, page 201, and we will go over this one together. Okay, let's read these words. These are all I words that are spelled with an IE or an IGH. Okay, either IE or IGH, saying I. Okay, let's read these. Cried. Remember the root word is cry. You change the Y to an I and add ED. Cried, fight, dried. Same thing happened with that base word, dry. might, night, sigh, tight, tried, and there we have the same thing going on there. Try, change the Y to an I and add ED. So we're going to choose those words to go into our story, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to number them. Why don't you do that real quick so you can just put the number on the line, and then when I'm finished here, in case we run out of video space, you can go back and write the word yourself, okay? Dear Ashley, this is a letter from one friend to another. Last, my cousins came to visit. Last, what do you say? Night, you're right. I would put a 5 and write it later. We had so much fun. First, we to scare each other with scary stories. First, we cried to scare each other? No. First, we sighed to scare each other? How about first we tried to scare each other? That would be good. Put an 8. My little sister was so scared she almost, number 1, cried. Then we had a pillow. What would that be? Fight. Do you see that? Number 2. When my mother saw the mess in the living room, she just gave a big sigh. You're right. She just gave a big sigh. My cousins, come back next month. My cousins, come back. They just might come back. Did we use all the words? I'm not so sure. No, we didn't. Oh, I don't know. We did not use all the words. Is that going to be a problem? No, it's not going to be a problem, right? Because how many lines were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many words? 8. So we didn't need all of them. So you are done with this, and that ends the video for our language for day 2 of week 3. Okay? Sorry for kicking you in the leg, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.